Hi everyone, it's Leona with Leona's Designs. Welcome to another Scripture Sunday 2025. And we are focusing on thankfulness for this month of November. This is the last week of November for this journaling challenge. And it's week 47 for the year. And the scripture we're focusing on is Colossians 4, verse 2, which says, "Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving." So that's our scripture for this week as we focus on thankfulness. And our journal prompts are light brown or tan for the color. The shape is your choice. And the art supply is a magazine image. So I have a lot of thoughts about this verse, and I have a lot of ideas for creating my art journal page today. So I'm going to get jumping right into it, and I'll show you my ideas for this page, which I need to cover up. Don't want to use any part of this. So my idea for covering the page, I'm going to use a little bit of white paint, white acrylic paint to mute it down. I don't have any gesso, so I'm just going to use white paint. And then after that dries, or maybe even before it dries, I'll use a little Mod Podge, and I'm going to try to collage on these tan or brown napkins. To just kind of cover the page a little bit. Hopefully it will cover it enough so this background doesn't show, but we'll see. Okay, that's part one, preparing the page. And then part two is my ideas for the scripture verse. I'm calling it Watchful Thanks. So this will be my title that I printed. And then my magazine images, I found a lot of different ones. I wasn't finding the one I was really hoping to find, which would have been a person looking through a telescope. But I found these instead. I thought maybe this might be a good image, just to cut out these hands. And then in here, I had a little image of an angel. Found this little image of an angel praying. I thought maybe that could go in there, inside there where I cut that up. So that's one idea. Another idea was I saw this, and I thought make every day count would be some good words to put on the page if there's room. This one was kind of my favorite one. I think I might end up using it. This lady looks like she's walking steadfastly to me. And then there's this big eye here, which would be symbolizing watchful. So I was thinking I would cut up the scripture verse that I printed and just put the scripture all the way around that eyeball. Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving. And use that as the focal point of the page. And I'm not sure if I would be able to work her in or not. But this is what I'm tending to think I'm going to use. But then I also found this little fun one. Reminds me of my great-granddaughter. And kind of a fun being watchful. But I think I'm going to really focus on using this one. So we'll see how that goes after I get this page prepared. And then we'll talk a little bit about the verse and the thoughts I have on it. I'm gonna, right now, put a little bit of white paint on here and mute the page down. Don't want to get too much, just enough to mute it down. And one of these days I'm going to have to go get some gesso. All right. So this is our last November verse challenge. And then we have 1 month left. Only 1 month left of this challenge. It's amazing. And I know what I'm going to be focusing on for next month's theme. But I'm not going to share that. I'm still working on the particulars of it. But I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. And there are 5 weeks for next month. So I will have 5 scriptures as we go through the months. And I know it's a busy month, so I'm going to try to make it pretty simple, but meaningful. And I will give a little hint to what you might be able to expect if you're following this challenge and you're kind of wondering, oh no, what is it going to be in December? I'm always so busy. But I'll give a little hint that those of you who do Advent will most likely like next month's challenge, because I'm planning to focus on scriptures that focus on Advent. But you'll have to tune in to the video next week and see what it's going to be about. I'm going to let this dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and start putting the Mod Podge and the napkin on. Okay, I think it's dry enough that I can start putting Mod Podge and napkin on. So I'm just going to put a little Mod Podge first, and then I'll take pieces of napkin and see what happens. Excuse me. Okay. Won't be too hard to cover up the white. Torn edges are better. Maybe not right here. I don't have to worry too much about this because I'm going to put my title up there. But just get this Mod Podge down. We'll see how it's going to cover up this part now. I might have to do double layers of the napkin. see. Looks like it might do a good job. I think covering it with that white paint helped a lot. And of course the image is going to be covering up some of this. I was thinking of using tea bags, but they weren't dark enough. I didn't think they would be dark enough to cover up the image on the page. So I went with this tan napkin I got at probably Wendy's, some fast food place, Subway maybe. Don't eat much fast food, but sometimes I go there with my family. Okay. I'm just going to keep tearing and pasting and Mod Podging this page down, and I will be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, well, it's almost dry. Doesn't look that great right now, but once I get the graphics on it, I think it will look good. I'm going to glue this title down, and I did cut this big eye out, so I think I'm just going to use that right in the center. Decided not to use the lady. I am going to use these little angels somewhere. I'm not sure where. Maybe I'm going to use this down here at the bottom. But I'm going to get this glued down in this. And then we'll see about cutting up that verse and putting it around the eye. So I'm just going to try to use my glue stick. Hopefully it will stick to the napkin. Seems like it's holding. Okay. Always got to get those corners. And then we'll glue this down. So while I'm doing this, I'm cutting all this and gluing it down, I want to take a little time to talk about my thoughts on the verse. About continuing steadfastly in prayer and being watchful in it with thanksgiving. The continuing steadfastly in prayer makes me think of Paul in 1 Thessalonians 5:17, where he says, pray without ceasing. And I used to think, how can I do that? But to me, that means just always having an attitude of prayer about everything. And continuing steadfastly in prayer, to me, means never giving up. You've maybe heard of that little acronym or whatever it's called, p.u.s.h, p.u.s.h, and what that stands for is pray until something happens. So I think that's a good little reminder, is continuing steadfastly in prayer would be keep praying until something happens. Because God does say that He listens, He hears, He will answer. Maybe not always the way we want Him to, but He will answer. So continuing steadfastly can also mean, firmly, that you believe what you're praying for, God hears and will answer in some way. And I think I'll just leave that in prayer together. And even if you don't see any results, just constantly keep praying, standing firmly in your faith. And then the being watchful, I kind of looked that up because I thought, really, what does it being watchful in prayer mean? And I found that this one website said being watchful is to be aware of what is happening around you in your life and in others' lives and in the world, and pray for what you and others or the world needs at that time. So being watchful is watching what's going on every day in your life. What's going on with you and other people and in the world. Obviously, right now, there's a lot going on in the world that we can pray about. Also, it said pray specifically, not just for physical needs, but also for emotional needs and spiritual needs. So I thought those were some good information to keep in mind. I'm going to get a little closer here. And then with thanksgiving means giving thanks as you pray for what God will do, what He has done, and what He is doing right now at that time. Because God is always at work in our lives, even when we don't realize it or see it. So just some thoughts on that. And then I also was reminded of the persistent widow. If any of you remember that scripture in Luke, where Jesus was sharing the parable about the persistent widow. And I think I will read that right now, because I think it goes right along with this verse. It's Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8. It says, also, and this is in the Amplified Bible I'm reading, also, Jesus told them a parable to the effect that they always ought to pray and not to turn coward, faint, lose heart, or give up. He said, in a certain city there was a judge who neither reverenced and feared God, nor respected or considered man. And there was a widow in that city who kept coming to him and saying, protect and defend and give me justice against my adversary. And for a time he would not. But later he said to himself, though I have neither reverence or fear for God, nor respect or consideration for man, yet because this widow continues to bother me, I will defend and protect and avenge her, lest she give me intolerable annoyance and wear me out by her continual coming. So the judge was broken down because the widow wouldn't give up. She just kept coming to him, asking and asking. And he grew tiresome of that. So he granted her wish. And in verse 6, the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not our just God defend and protect and avenge his elect, his chosen ones, who cry to him day and night? Will he defer them and deny help on their behalf? I tell you, he will defend and protect and avenge them speedily. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find persistence in faith on the earth?" So that was a good reminder from Jesus to continue praying and be watchful and never give up and make every day count. So I'm going to glue these down. I think I'm going to cut this out and see what it looks like. Maybe I'll glue this down, and then I'll figure out if I want to use those angels somewhere. Make every day count. I don't know if I want that or not. But really, I don't have anything to put down there either. So, could put these down there. They might go along better with it than if I just cut them out. I think I will. I think I'm going to fussy cut these out and put them down here and glue this down. Maybe put that right there. Just cut them out a little bit. See, maybe one here. Maybe one here. One here. Just kind of scattered around. I think that might look good. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to put those aside for now. I'm just going to glue these down and I'll be back. Okay, well, I fussy cutted them out and glued them down here. I think they look good. This one's like meditating, praying. This one's kind of praying, and this one's watching. So I think they go well with the page. And then at the bottom, I thought instead of saying make every day count, I would put the letters p.u.s.h for pray until something happens. So I got my little letter box out. Keep my letters in. Alphabetically, I cut different letters out of the magazine and put them in these envelopes and save them to do art with. So I got these letters and I'm going to glue them down now, and then I'm put a period behind each one to signify that they stand for pray until something happens. So I'm going to call the page done after this. I hope you enjoyed watching this and you were inspired in some way, either to create a page for yourself or inspired by the scriptures. And I do hope to see you next month for our December Scripture Sunday 2025, where we will be working on Advent verses. So hope to see you then. Have a blessed week and stay watchful and pray unceasingly as the Lord has told us to do. Blessings. Bye-bye.